What types of problems can you solve using the Pythagorean theorem? Think about this question during the lesson. Kiana is using a kit to build the kite shown here. The kit includes 4 different lengths of wooden dowels. How can Kiana decide which pieces of wood to use as diagonal braces for the top or bottom of the kite? Let's begin by drawing a diagram. Use a rectangle to represent the top and bottom of the kite. All 4 corners are right angles. The side lengths are 2 4/10 feet long and 1 8/10 feet wide. What is the unknown length in this diagram?
Select your answer.
We can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the diagonal. Substitute the known values for A and B. It doesn't matter which value you choose for A and which you choose for B. The sum of the 2 squares will be the same. Find the squares and add the values. Find the square root of each side of the equation to solve for C. The length of the diagonal of the rectangle is 3 feet. So Kiana could use the 3-foot dowel as a brace for the top or bottom of the kite. She could also cut the 4-foot dowel to a length of 3 feet. You can use the Pythagorean theorem to solve problems with squares and rectangles, since the corners are always right angles.
What is the length of the diagonal D of a rectangle with length 11 2/10 feet and width 8 4/10 feet?
All right, so leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. So what is the length of a diagonal? Let me draw. All right, so it says rectangle, so here's a rectangle. And it says a diagonal. What is the length of diagonal? So let's draw a diagonal there. And it says the length of 11 2/10 feet and 8 4/10 for the width. Okay, so there are 2 values. All right, so now we use those to solve. So we have the 2 legs, which would be the length and the width. So we have 8 4/10, and then you have 11 2/10. And then you solve those. So you have 8 4/10 squared is 70 56 hundredths, and then 11 2/10 squared is 125 44 hundredths. 4. And then we add those together, plus 70 56 hundredths, and you get 196 equals D squared. And so D squared, you have to find the square root, and that is 14. And the squiggly equal lines is approximately. So approximately 14 feet is the answer for the diagonal.
Ramiro has a column aquarium with a rectangular base. It has a height of 5 feet, a length of 2 feet, and a width of 1 foot. What is the longest piece of cholla wood that Ramiro can buy to fit in his tank? The first step is to draw and label a diagram to represent the aquarium. Where should you draw the length of cholla wood? The longest possible distance inside a rectangular prism is between 2 opposite corners. The next step is to find the length of the diagonal D of the bottom of the tank. The diagonal and adjacent two sides form a right triangle, so we can use the Pythagorean theorem. The sum of the squares of the sides is equal to D squared. Simplify the expression to find that 5 is equal to D squared, which means that D is the square root of 5. Do you need to convert the square root of 5 to a decimal approximation? Notice that the length of cholla wood is the hypotenuse of another right triangle. Now, use the Pythagorean theorem again to find C, the length of the cholla wood. The sum of the squares of the two legs of the triangle is equal to the square of the hypotenuse, C. Calculate the squares, add them, and then take the square root of both sides to find that C is approximately equal to 5 47/100. A piece of cholla wood that is about 5 4/10 feet long is the longest piece that will fit in the aquarium.
Sandra bought a triangular shelf to hang in the corner of her room. Will this shelf fit in the 90-degree corner? Explain.
Use the converse of the Pythagorean theorem to determine if the triangle is a right triangle. So they took all the measurements from the picture and used it into the equation for Pythagorean theorem. And then it says the shelf is in the shape of a right triangle. It will fit because it was equal on both sides of that equation.
A company wants to rent a tent that has a height of at least 10 feet for an outdoor show. Should they rent the tent shown at the right? Explain.
Now we are going to take the measurements given here. Let's look at this pyramid and see here. All right. We want to see a right triangle so we can find the height. So they have H representing the height in the middle of this pyramid. So I'm just going to draw this, and then I have this line here that represents that 15 feet, and then you have your leg on the bottom. So we see that from here to here is 24, but I'm halfway. So my new base here would be 12. My hypotenuse here is 15 feet, and the height is what we're solving for. So we know it's a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. We know the c squared is our hypotenuse, so that's going to be the 15. And the legs are a and b, so I'm just going to put 12 here. And a will be our h that we're trying to solve for. Now, I'm going to solve. So we have 15 squared is let me see. I wrote the wrong thing. Erase. Erase. 225, and this would be 144 plus a squared. And then to solve for the a squared, I have to subtract my 144 on both sides. That cancels. And this will be 81. So a squared is equal to 81. Now we need to solve for a. So then we're going to now take the square root of 81 to solve for the a squared, and the square root of 81 is, square root of 81 is 9. So the height is equal to 9.